Midjourney, a people feared by all, with giant warriors and an unstoppable army. Who were these mysterious Philistines who so often challenged the Israelites? Today, we will delve into this fascinating story told in the Bible. Who were these dreaded enemies? Where did they come from? And how did their actions impact the course of God's people? Get ready to discover secrets and curiosities you've probably never heard before. Want to know how one man changed the destiny of an entire people? Stay until the end, because this journey through the history of the Philistines is just beginning. The Philistines have always been a fascinating mystery for Bible scholars and ancient history enthusiasts. When we talk about the origin and identity of the Philistines, the most popular theory suggests that they were part of the Sea Peoples, a group of migrants who moved to the Levant region around the 12th century BC. This theory is supported by archaeological evidence showing cultural and technological similarities between the Philistines and other Mediterranean groups. Ancient texts, like Egyptian inscriptions, mention the Sea Peoples and their interactions with Egypt, providing clues about their possible migration routes and settlements. Beyond theories and inscriptions, archaeology has been a crucial tool in deciphering the Philistines' identity. Excavations at sites like Ashdod and Ekron have revealed artifacts showing a mix of cultural influences, including pottery and architecture, different from local Canaanite practices. This suggests that the Philistines had a distinct cultural identity, possibly speaking a different language and practicing unique customs. These discoveries help paint a clearer picture of who these ancient inhabitants of the Levant were. The relationship between the Philistines and other regional peoples, such as the Canaanites, is also of interest. While sharing the same geographical space, the Philistines and Canaanites maintained distinct cultural identities and religious practices. The Philistines were often seen as adversaries by both the Israelites and the Canaanites, but there were also moments of peaceful interaction and cultural exchange. This complex web of relationships shows that the history of the Philistines is more than a simple narrative of conflict. It's a rich story of exchange and coexistence. Moving to the second topic, the Philistines in the Hebrew Bible are frequently portrayed as enemies of the Israelites. From the earliest accounts in the book of Genesis, the Philistines are mentioned in contexts of conflict and rivalry. In the book of Judges, we find stories like that of Samson, whose life was marked by constant battles against the Philistines. In the books of Samuel and Kings, the Philistines are depicted as a persistent threat, culminating in battles such as that of David and Goliath, where the young Israelite shepherd defeats the Philistine giant. Prominent figures in the biblical narrative, like Goliath and Delilah, help personify this rivalry. Goliath, the giant warrior, symbolizes the Philistine strength and threat. His defeat by David is not just a military victory, but also a moral and spiritual triumph for the Israelites. Delilah, on the other hand, is a more complex figure. Her betrayal of Samson by cutting his hair and thus removing his strength shows how the Philistines used cunning and manipulation in their interactions with the Israelites. These characters help shape the perception of the Philistines in the biblical narrative as formidable and astute adversaries. The role of the Philistines as recurring adversaries of the Israelites shaped the biblical narrative in various ways. They are often used as a sort of other against which the Israelites define their identity. The constant presence of the Philistines in biblical stories highlights the ongoing struggle of the Israelites for survival and faithfulness to their God. Throughout the biblical texts, the Philistines represent not just a military threat, but also a challenge to the faith and cultural identity of the Israelites. When discussing the major cities in Philistine culture, 5 city-states stand out: Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. These cities were centers of power and culture for the Philistines, each with its own characteristics and strategic importance. Gaza, for example, was a crucial port city, facilitating trade and communication with other Mediterranean civilizations. Ashdod and Ashkelon also played significant roles as commercial and religious centers. Daily life in the Philistine cities was rich and complex, as revealed by archaeological discoveries. Artifacts like decorated pottery, metal tools, and remnants of architectural structures give us an idea of the artistic and technological skills of the Philistines. Religion also played a central role, with temples dedicated to gods like Dagon. These temples and other sacred sites show that the Philistines had well-developed religious practices, including rituals and sacrifices. Comparing the cultural and religious practices of the Philistines with those of the Israelites and other contemporary peoples reveals both similarities and differences. While the Israelites followed a monotheistic religion centered on the God of Israel, the Philistines practiced a polytheism that included the worship of multiple gods. However, the geographical proximity and frequent contacts led to some cultural exchange. For example, some Philistine architectural and artistic styles influenced Israelite practices and vice versa. This cultural interaction is proof of the dynamic and multifaceted nature of the region at the time. The history of the Philistines, their origin, identity, presence in the Hebrew Bible, as well as their cities and culture, is rich and multifaceted. These ancient inhabitants of the Levant were not just the enemies of the Israelites, but also an integral and influential part of the cultural and historical tapestry of the region. Studying the Philistines allows us to gain a deeper understanding of the complex interactions and dynamics that shaped the ancient Near East. Of course, let's continue this fascinating journey through the remaining topics on the Philistines in the Bible and their history, maintaining the conversational and informative tone. Beyond the cities and culture, we reach a crucial point: the conflicts and interactions with the Israelites. The battles between the Philistines and the Israelites are a central aspect of the biblical narrative and therefore deserve a more detailed analysis. One of the earliest major confrontations occurs in the book of Judges, where Samson, a Nazirite with prodigious strength, fought various battles against the Philistines. Samson's stories are filled with dramatic episodes, such as when he used the jawbone of a donkey to kill 1,000 Philistines, or when he set fire to the Philistine fields with torches tied to foxes. One of the most emblematic episodes of the rivalry between the two peoples is undoubtedly the duel between David and Goliath. Goliath, the Philistine giant, challenged the Israelites to send a champion to face him in single combat. David's courage in accepting the challenge, armed only with a sling and 5 smooth stones, and his subsequent victory is a crucial moment that not only defines David as a hero, but also as a future king of Israel. This episode is often interpreted as a lesson about faith and reliance on God in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. In addition to these direct confrontations, there were periods of Philistine domination over the Israelites. On several occasions, the Philistines managed to subjugate the Israelites, imposing tributes and political control. An example of this is found in the first book of Samuel, where the Philistines capture the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred symbol for the Israelites. This event was seen as a profound humiliation for Israel and a demonstration of Philistine power. However, the Ark's presence among the Philistines brought them misfortunes, eventually forcing them to return it. This episode illustrates the intensity of the conflict and the symbolic and spiritual importance of sacred artifacts. The conflicts also had a significant impact on Israelite politics and society. The constant Philistine threat led to the centralization of power under the first kings of Israel, Saul and David. Saul, the first king, was chosen partly due to the need for strong leadership to face the Philistines. David, in turn, consolidated his power through military victories against them. Thus, the Philistines played an indirect but crucial role in the formation of the Israelite state and the unification of the tribes under a central monarchy. While conflicts and battles are often the focus, it's important to recognize that there were also periods of coexistence and peaceful interaction. Archaeologists have found evidence of trade and cultural exchange between the Philistines and the Israelites. For example, pottery and other artifacts found at Israelite sites show Philistine influences and vice versa. These discoveries suggest that despite the wars, there was a pragmatic coexistence and exchange of goods and ideas between the two peoples. This complexity adds a layer of depth to the story, showing that human interactions are rarely one-dimensional. Finally, let's address the decline and legacy of the Philistines. Like many ancient peoples, the Philistines eventually faced decline due to a combination of internal and external factors. The Assyrian invasion in the 8th century BC marked the beginning of the end for the Philistine city-states. The Assyrians, known for their brutality and military efficiency, subdued the region and imposed heavy tributes. The Philistine cities, though resilient, could not withstand the continuous pressure. The subsequent Babylonian domination in the 7th century BC sealed the fate of the Philistines. Under kings like Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonians destroyed many Philistine cities and assimilated the remaining population. The Philistine identity, already weakened by the Assyrians, was practically obliterated. The Philistines disappeared as a distinct political and cultural entity, absorbed by the dominant powers of the time. However, the legacy of the Philistines did not disappear completely. Their presence in biblical narratives ensured that they would be remembered through the centuries. Additionally, archaeological discoveries in the ancient Philistine cities continue to provide valuable insights into their culture and lifestyle. For example, Philistine pottery is often studied for its quality and distinctive style, which influenced other regional cultures. The relevance of studies on the Philistines goes beyond mere historical curiosity. Understanding the history and culture of the Philistines helps better contextualize the biblical narratives and the history of the ancient Near East. They provide an important counterpoint to the Israelites, helping to illuminate the mutual challenges and influences that shaped both cultures. Furthermore, the history of the Philistines is a powerful reminder of the complex dynamics of migration, conflict, and cultural assimilation that characterize human history. Therefore, studying the Philistines is not just about looking at an interesting chapter of ancient history, but also gaining a richer and more nuanced understanding of the human interactions that shape the world as we know it. Through archaeological evidence, ancient texts, and biblical narratives, we can reconstruct the story of a people who, although vanished, left an indelible mark on human history. The history of the Philistines is full of twists, epic battles, and lessons that still resonate today. But have you ever stopped to think about what really motivated these people to face the Israelites with such determination? Was there something deeper, beyond the simple fight for territory and power? Now, think with me. What would it be like to live in those times, surrounded by enemies on all sides, and still maintain unwavering faith? What do you think we can learn from the courage and resilience of the Israelites when facing giants like Goliath? And speaking of Goliath, Have you ever reflected on the giants we face in our lives today? Do we have the same faith and courage that David had when facing his challenge? And more. How do you think the story of the Philistines connects with our own spiritual journey? Are we prepared to identify and overcome the modern Philistines that keep us away from our purpose? Leave your opinions in the comments. Let's continue this conversation there. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. See you in the next video. May peace and wisdom always be with you.